just spoke with Insurance Commissioner Glenn Mulready. He spoke and answered questions at two recent interim studies. One was in the House, one was in the state Senate, both of them looking for the same answers. Why are rates so high in Oklahoma, and what can we as lawmakers, not me, but the lawmakers, what can we do about them? Well, Senate Minority Leader Julia Kirt, a Democrat from Oklahoma City, and Senator Bill Coleman, a Republican from Ponca City, are panelists this week as we continue to focus on high home insurance rates here in Oklahoma. Senator Kirt, you led this study in the Senate side. It was in your committee,
That's correct.
Senator Coleman. So thanks so much for being here. Let's just continue this conversation straight off and get to what can be done. What do you think right now, Senator Kirt, coming out of these interim studies, is something that can happen right now to improve things?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're going to have to figure out, because, you know, we hear from our constituents all the time with concerns because they're trying to afford the big changes. And what I really heard was, you know, maybe we don't have the authority built into the law for that review process, because, you know, some of our neighboring states, Texas, Kansas, who have similar file and use systems, they actually have actuarials sit down and look at the numbers some and just do that review process. And it really sounds like we haven't given that authority to the Insurance Commission.
Well, Commissioner Mulready says that really he's not allowed to in a competitive system. And so that would be an interesting question. Senator Coleman, do you think changing some of these statutes could lead to some help for Oklahomans?
Well, Evan, one thing we have to be very careful of is we need to keep the competition within the state, or the problem with rising rates could be worse. If we try to regulate the current companies that are in the state of Oklahoma to where they can't make a profit, they're going to leave, and we're going to have less choice, and then we're going to have higher rates.
You mentioned something about, you asked a question about California.
Yeah, at California.
In the interim study, because I know they tried to cap how much rates can increase and companies left, correct?
That is correct. They tried to cap how much insurance companies could increase every year, and your big companies, your big carriers, your State Farms, your Allstates, they left California and said, we cannot make a profit here. So we do have to be careful. You asked at the start of this, what could we do right away?
Right.
I think one of the things we could do right away is currently if an insurance company cancels your property insurance, they have to notify you within 30 days. We're looking at taking that to 60 days to give the consumer more time to go shop around, because that's another problem we're having. Insurance companies are dropping people as well as raising the rates.
Is there, getting back to that question of, you know, you don't want to go the California route, is there a middle ground? I know that other states have done other things. You mentioned Texas, they have the wind pool down there, but that's in a specific spot where that's along the coastline where again, the insurance companies are pulling out. Is there a middle ground that we could find where the state could change something?
Yeah, I mean, considering that right now our law doesn't allow our commissioner to review it if the rates are too high, but allows them only to review it if they're too low, you know, we're leaving a big gap there. And we don't have a definition of what a competitive market is. A competitive market right now just means someone can get coverage. So if we're not looking at other factors, we're not really looking at what the consumers might need to know. I was surprised how much I didn't know about things I would have to ask to make sure I'm getting the right deal. We're really putting a lot on consumers to try to get the right deal. And I think we could build that into our laws instead.
Do you think, because obviously you're a Democrat, there's a supermajority of Republicans. Every single time you want to get legislation passed, you need Republicans. It needs to be bipartisan. It has to be. You don't have to have Democrats to pass bills. You need the other side. So with something like this, which is, I think, a bipartisan issue,
Yes.
What's going to be your focus, Senator Kirt, to try to create something that is palatable across the aisle?
Well, I think the study was part of that. I mean, Senator Coleman was very respectful about having that study and knew that it was a conversation we need to have. And I think that's the first part, is just looking at if there's parts of that we can agree on. We absolutely have to look if it's going to make it worse, and we're not going to try to push for anything that doesn't. But I think there's ways that we can build a little more authority in there. The other big thing we talked about was credit scores being part of the way that premiums are charged. And I think people are surprised that their credit score is in the mix there. And that's something some states have chosen to exclude. So you can't be charged based on your credit score.
That is interesting. Why, you know, you lead the commission there, you know, the committee on business and
that was
and
my
insurance.
first year, Evan. This last session was my first year handling insurance.
So you're probably learning a lot of stuff as well.
Learned a lot this last session.
Okay, so I mean, when you're looking at these issues right now, is there anything else that jumps out as being yeah, maybe we could try that. I mean, because I do agree, giving people more time, 60 days instead of 30 to look up competing rates, but that's helping at the edges of things, right? That's not going across the board trying to help affordability in the other time. At the same time, do you also understand where the commissioner's coming and say, guys, if they're not making money, they're not going to charge less?
Yes, I sure do, Evan. And one of the things I'd like to point out, we did have 2 interim studies, one in each chamber, and that doesn't happen a lot. But I knew the issue is very, very important. We're getting to the point now to where the American dream of owning a home could be X'd out by insurance, where mortgage or insurance could say we can't do insurance.
Well,
there.
and housing prices are already so high, too.
Which is also,
even in Oklahoma.
Which is also adding to higher interest rate as the values go up. It's something that it certainly is something to continue to look at. I'm pleased that my classmate, Leader Kurt, took the charge on this. She's somebody I can work with, I can listen to, and we can work this out together and hopefully get something done to help the Oklahoma homeowners who are paying more for property insurance.
So when this comes up and we get into session, because these interim studies, a lot of times you're looking for potential bills, you're looking to see where can we find something. What's the first bill that you think is going to come up, Senator Kurt? And Senator Coleman, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might ask Senator Coleman to
Because-
guess that one,
because
I can
he's-
file 20 and they, you know.
He's the one that allows to put it in
correct.
front of the committee. So
I think the 60-day, I'll follow that and run with that 60-day right away. And whatever Senator Kurt comes up with, she knows she can come in my office and talk to me about it anytime, and I'm looking forward to see what she comes up with as well, because we've got 48 brains on the Senate floor, some a little bit bigger than others, but we're all there for the same reason, and that's to help the people of the state of Oklahoma, and that's what I want to do.
how concerned are we about just the issue of affordability in general in our state? In Oklahoma, compared to other states, I mean, we got it good here.
Yeah.
But even having it good doesn't feel too good sometimes for a lot of people.
One of the things, we talk about the tornadoes and the hail, but we also have to now add in firestorms. We saw fires last March destroy homes in Stillwater. We have ice storms. I've lost a radio tower over ice storm before. We have high winds. We have temperatures that go from 120 to minus 10. So Oklahoma is certainly unusual in the fact that it does get all kinds of weather.
Right.
Well, and then housing, Oklahoma for a long time didn't have to worry about housing costs because our housing was pretty affordable, but we've had a great boom in our population, but haven't built enough houses to keep up, right? And so we're really low, especially on smaller homes, starter homes. So younger people aren't able to buy in our communities, and our workers can't find somewhere they can afford. And so that's the big thing I've been working on, is how can we encourage housing that allows our economy to keep growing, and let people buy so that they can build that asset for their American dream.
And to buy, they have to be able to afford the insurance.
Right.
Indeed. Yeah, we heard from realtors on the house side, because realtors said that was a thing stopping people from being able to buy, because they would qualify, but then if the premium's so big they can't afford it, they would have to pick another home.
Right, or shop around a lot. I know Commissioner Mulready said that his wife was, a real estate agent, I believe, and was talking about, he's telling the story about she came to him like, hey, what's the deal? These clients, they can't get insurance on their roof. They had to shop around. They ended up figuring something out. But it is interesting. We have just a minute or two left. There is, I know, very different ways of looking at things between Democrats and Republicans, especially when it comes to government help with money, and should we use tax dollars? We do see other states pooling together money, putting stuff together to help subsidize payments, maybe subsidize to keep the premiums down from companies. Is there any wiggle room from Republicans in the state legislature to find ways to build something like that?
Well, what there is with this Republican, Evan, I'll listen to people all the time. I will always listen to ideas. The only bad idea, I think, is the unspoken idea. So give me some ideas to go with. But we are living in a time now with the property insurance it keeps going up and up and up. We do need to get a handle on it, and we do need to make sure that Oklahomans also can live the American dream and own their own house.
Yeah. Senator Kurt, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we look at the fact that it's a challenge for everyone, not just homeowners, it's also churches, it's our schools, it's our nonprofits, like our businesses are really buried under these costs. If we could find a way to take part of the high risk pool out, let's look at that. I think that's going to be something that couldn't happen tomorrow. That takes a lot of careful planning to make that be done right. But I think if that was feasible and people were open to it, I think that could be a way to move forward, take some of that high risk.
But on the pool, I'm for that too, but if you look at Texas, Florida, it's all a hurricane zone.
Right.
The entire state of Oklahoma is a danger zone for weather.
Right. Our roofs have giant targets on them.
Yes.
And you never know. You never know. Again, I watched your interim study. I appreciate watching bipartisan conversations. That's what we're trying to do here with this program. Thanks very much for your time, Senator.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.